Joseph Hertgen, born on January 11, 1998, in Danbury, Connecticut, to David and Deborah Hertgen, was a cherished son, brother, and friend. Growing up in a stable and loving household with his two brothers, David Jr. and Mathew, the Hertgens epitomized the American dream. They resided in a $1.1 million home in a charming shore town before relocating to the affluent community of Princeton, New Jersey. David Sr. wasn't just a businessman, he was a powerhouse. As the president and CFO of Y-Line Networks, a high-tech firm with annual revenues between $25 and $100 million, he provided his family with financial security and a luxurious lifestyle most could only dream of. The Hertgens, with their athletic sons, high academic expectations, and access to resources, projected effortless success. Their children excelled in school and sports, were well-liked and traveled. Joseph, known as Joe, stood out even in the high-achieving family. After graduating from Toms River North High School in 2016, he enrolled at the University of Michigan's elite Stephen M. Ross School of Business, majoring in finance and accounting. By 2023, he had built a name for himself in finance, landing a prestigious analyst position at Locust Point Capital in Red Bank, New Jersey. But Joseph wasn't just brilliant, he was beloved. He played on multiple sports teams growing up and enjoyed a good game of ping pong or chess. Traveling with friends was one of his passions, and his radiant smile was the kind that lingered long after he left a room. He was a connector, someone who made people feel seen and valued. But beneath the sheen of this picture-perfect family was a darker, more fragile reality, one that revolved around his older brother, Mathew. Mathew Hertgen, despite his privileged upbringing, battled an invisible enemy for years. His older brother, David Jr., revealed that Mathew had suffered from serious mental health issues for at least 5 years before the tragedy. The extent of his illness was hidden from public view due to the family's status and their hope that love, structure, and privacy could solve what medicine and intervention couldn't. Mathew endured terrifying hallucinations and periods of psychological decline, but the family kept it private, perhaps out of shame, confusion, or the mistaken belief that things would improve. But they didn't. On the night of Saturday, February 22, 2025, everything changed forever. At exactly 11:16 p.m., a 911 call came in from the Michelle Muse apartment complex in Princeton, a neighborhood where homes regularly sell for millions. The caller was eerily calm. On the line was Mathew Hertgen. He told the dispatcher that there had been a fire in his apartment and that a body was inside. That body, he explained, belonged to his younger brother, Joseph. The dispatcher, stunned, asked how Joseph had died. Mathew replied with chilling detachment, "I'm not going to go into any more details right now." There was no panic in his voice, no sign of remorse, only eerie calm. When officers from the Princeton Police Department arrived, Mathew was waiting at the door. He confirmed what he had told the dispatcher and led officers into the apartment. What they found inside was more horrifying than they could have imagined. Joseph lay dead on the dining room floor, his body surrounded by a pool of blood. The injuries were brutal and personal. He had suffered severe blunt force trauma to the back of his head. His chest and abdomen had been mutilated to such an extent that his chest cavity was exposed. His right eye had been viciously lacerated and, horrifyingly, it was missing. Reports that surfaced after the murder, though unconfirmed by official sources, suggested a disturbing possibility. Mathew may have eaten his brother's eyeball. The police haven't confirmed this, but the rumor has caused widespread public horror and curiosity. Officers found a makeshift dining setup, a cup of blood-smeared utensils, and a bloodied plate. A bloodied golf club believed to be the murder weapon lay on the floor. Even the family's pet cat was not spares. Its lifeless body was found partially burnt and with visible blunt force trauma. The apartment was transformed into a house of horrors, not from a nightmare but from the hands of someone once loved. Mathew, though eerily calm, bore signs of a violent struggle. His hands were covered in scratches and abrasions. When police asked him what had happened, he gave them a strange and tragic answer. "I went into a fit of madness, maybe like 40 minutes ago." But that madness had taken a brother's life and shattered a family forever. Investigators reconstructed the events leading to the murder. Earlier that day, David Jr. picked up Mathew around 4:30 p.m. to care for him. They went grocery shopping, returned to David's home, and stayed until 10 p.m. David drove Mathew back to his apartment and walked him to the door. Joseph greeted them briefly. At 10:10 p.m., David texted Joseph, saying Mathew was in a delicate state and urging him to call if anything felt wrong. Joseph replied, "Will do, thanks for the help." It was his last message. At 10:28 p.m., David texted Mathew, suggesting a hike the next day and ending it with, "Hang in there." There was no response. By 11:16 p.m., Joseph was dead. The murder of Joseph Hertgen shocked the Princeton community and beyond. Known for its safety, wealth, and prestige, Princeton was rocked by the gruesome crime. Friends and former classmates gathered in shock, unable to comprehend how this could happen to him. The Hertgen family, once a model of upper-class American success, was now at the center of a nightmare. Mathew was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, weapons offenses, and animal cruelty. His first court appearance was set for March 24, 2025. As the media descended on the story, images of the family from happier times were splashed across screens and websites. Joseph smiled at his college graduation, Mathew played sports, and the whole family was together during holidays. Now, those memories were forever tainted. In Joseph's obituary, one name was conspicuously absent, Mathew's. The tribute mentioned only his parents, David and Deborah, and his brother, David Jr. It was a silent condemnation, one that spoke volumes. The obituary described Joseph as a vibrant, compassionate soul who had touched countless lives with his warmth and generosity. It painted the portrait of a young man taken far too soon, and in the most senseless of ways. Law enforcement officials were left grappling with their own emotions. One high-ranking source said, "Mathew Hertgen came from what appeared to be a perfect, all-American family. No one could have predicted that something like this would happen. To have it end in such violence is shocking, and the loss of his brother Joseph is devastating. But perhaps the most haunting part of this case is not just the brutality, it's the questions it leaves behind. How does a family recover from this? How do parents grieve one son while facing the reality that their other son is the one who stole that life away? How does a brother like David Jr. reconcile the fact that, despite all his efforts, he couldn't stop what happened? The Hertgen case gives an insight into the fragility of mental health, the danger of silence, and the illusion of perfection. It's about how untreated mental illness can turn homes into crime scenes and loved ones into monsters. And it's a chilling reminder that sometimes the most horrifying darkness lives not in strangers, but in those we think we know best. As the legal proceedings unfold and psychiatric evaluations dig deeper into Mathew's mind, the public may eventually get answers. But for the Hertgen family, no verdict, no diagnosis, no explanation will ever undo the pain of February 22, 2025. And for Joseph, a young man with a heart full of kindness, a mind filled with ambition, and a future that had only just begun, all that remains is a memory. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more shocking true crime stories. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.